Welcome everyone. Go ahead and put your name and where you're from in the chat. We are excited to get started here soon. All right, if you're just coming in, go ahead and throw your name, where you're from in the chat. Could be location, could be business. Would love to know who all is in the virtual room. I'm seeing some folks from Boulder. Of course, a couple people from Naturally Bay Area, Parabolic, Bobby from Read the Ingredients in Grass Valley. Welcome, welcome, folks. If you're just joining in, go ahead and throw your name and where you're from in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. We've got Nicole from Bread Seriously, Lori from Aptos. Welcome, welcome. Andrew from eCapital, Jim from Mista. Awesome. Dean from Ting Brands. Aloha. I hope that means you're in Hawaii. That sounds awesome. Some folks from Palo Alto, Oakland, North Bay. Someone from Kroger. Finalists, take note. Welcome, welcome everyone. If you're just coming in, throw your name and where you're from in the chat. We'd love to know who is in the room, and we'll get started in just a few minutes. Got Charles from Circle Coffee, Kara from Heffernan Insurance, John from Traby Foods. Welcome, welcome. Adrian from Naturally New York. Love that we got some of the other Naturally networks in the room. Thank you all for showing up. Mary from Parabolic, Arno from Food Funded in Ohlone territory. Thank you, Arno, aka San Francisco. Good note. Got Julie from Cooley Cooley. I know her. Christine from Mill Valley, Don Booter from Davis White Tremaine. Got some folks from Sebastopol. Daniel says he's drinking chocolate and good luck to the pitchers. Thanks, Daniel. Jen from White Road Investments. There's another investor in the room. Take note, entrepreneurs. Welcome, welcome everyone. We're just gonna give one more minute and then we will kick things off. So if you are just joining in, I'm seeing that participant count going up. Go ahead and throw your name and where you're from in the chat. All right, well, welcome everyone. We're gonna go ahead and get started. This is our fourth Naturally Bay Area Pitch Slam. I am your host, MC Lisa Curtis from Cooley Cooley. Cooley Cooley is a brand pioneering super greens like moringa in the US. I am so honored to be your host for today and really excited for this event. We've got an incredible group of entrepreneurs, judges, speakers, and the Bay Area is an amazing place to be a food entrepreneur. As all of you know, there are a lot of really cool food companies here, and we had so many folks apply. It was a really tough decision to even pick the finalists that we are going to hear from today, but pick them we did, and here are the list of companies we will hear from. So we have Biotic Ferments, we have Current Foods, we have G's Hard Ginger Beer, we have Happy Moose Juice, we have Tings, we have Twrl Milk Tea, we have Zeek Bar as well. So they are going to be competing today. This is a pitch event, and we have some really incredible prizes that they are competing for, including an Expo East booth, the opportunity to present at the Expo East Pitch Slam, some cash prizes, love that cash money, some spins data, and some other professional services. So I'm really proud to be a part of the organization putting this on and a part of Naturally Bay Area. and would like to introduce Pete Brennan, who is the board chair of Naturally Bay Area.
Thank you, Lisa. I really appreciate it. We're so proud to have one of Naturally Bay Area's very own board members and Cooley Cooley's coolest of the cool hosting our 4th annual Pitch Slam. And a big thanks to our entire audience out there, all of you, for joining us today. Naturally Bay Area is a nonprofit organization comprised of an all-volunteer board and a lean but uber-talented staff. Our mission is to stimulate growth, entrepreneurship, and exceptional leadership in the Northern California natural products industry. And we exist to foster sustainable and responsible best practices and facilitate collaboration and mutual support among our members. We exist for days like today. And none of it would be possible without the generosity of experts and icons from throughout our industry, along with our amazing bunch of sponsors. I want to send a special shout out to our sponsors. Many Bay Area companies, from large to small, are helping to provide the financial support that makes Naturally Bay Area programs like today's Pitch Slam possible. And that, what we're making possible today, is a shining example of that talent, the courage, and the inspiring leaders working to shift the food system forward. We should all be proud knowing that they exist right here in our Naturally Bay Area community. Today, it's a celebration of goodness. These are the days that fill up your cup. And so with that, I want to say cheers. Cheers to the many brands who entered. Cheers to the incredible brands and finalists who will take the virtual stage and pitch today. And cheers to you all for joining us and supporting this positive movement. Cheers, Naturally Bay Area, and cheers to our entire Naturally network. What we're doing here in Northern California is recognized and supported at a national level. We're proud to be a part of it. Speaking of national support for the natural products community, I want to welcome John Groove, our Naturally Network board chair, to say a few words and help us get this party started. John, take it away.
Hey, thanks very much, Pete. I really appreciate the chance to join this event. And I particularly appreciate the amazing Naturally Bay Area Board of Directors, many of whom were involved really from the earliest stages of our organizational formation. Vanessa, Elliot, Peter, and Don Booter kept showing up in Boulder for our big Naturally Boulder events, ultimately planting the seeds for what became the Naturally Network and its mission of promoting conscious business practices in the natural products ecosystem and through collaboration and generous sharing. The Naturally Boulder Board of Directors first kind of whiteboarded this idea of facilitating like-minded organizations elsewhere in the country in 2015. And the Bay Area was the first affiliate to stand up as its own organization in 2018. And together we wrestled through many of the startup issues that you're all very familiar with and that are so typical of a startup environment. Following the Bay Area, the affiliates have been established in Chicago, Austin, San Diego, New York, Los Angeles, and the North Bay, with more to come. We're very excited by the organizational framework and brand construct that adheres to our essential core values while innovating and activating at the affiliate level in unique and market-specific ways. I'm personally very inspired by many Bay Area brands, and I look forward both to this Pitch Slam as well as the Naturally Network New Hope Pitch Slam, which will be at Expo late in September in Philadelphia. Speaking of New Hope, I would like to introduce Carlotta Mast. Hopefully most of you have had or will have the pleasure and privilege of working with Carlotta. She is Senior Vice President and Market Leader at New Hope Informa. And now over to you, Carlotta.
Thanks, John. Partnership is central to New Hope Network's reason for being, and we are proud to have been a founding partner for Naturally Boulder, Naturally Bay Area, and now Naturally Network. I had the privilege of serving as Naturally Boulder's board chair when we worked with the Naturally Bay Area to expand the Naturally Boulder model to your community in 2018. And it's amazing to see all the progress we've made in growing the Naturally community here in the Bay Area and across the US. New Hope's purpose is to cultivate a prosperous, high-integrity CPG and retail ecosystem that brings health, joy, and justice to all people while regenerating the planet. And we believe that Naturally Bay Area and the Naturally Network are essential components of the ecosystem that will make this vision a reality. As part of our partnership with Naturally Bay Area and the network, we are so excited to support your upcoming Pitch Slam and bring the Pitch Slam winner and runner-up to Natural Products Expo East in Philadelphia, September 28th through the 29th. We want to make Expo East a meeting hub for the entire Naturally Network community and have some exciting events planned to elevate Naturally on the national stage. So best of luck to all the Naturally Bay Area Pitch Slam participants, and I hope to see many of you in Philly cheering on your Pitch Slam grand prize winner and runner-up when they compete on the National Naturally Expo East Pitch Slam stage on September 28th.
Wow, quite the prize, free booth. That is very cool. I know those are very expensive. Trust me on that. Thank you, Carlotta. I really appreciate it. So let's learn a little bit more about all the grand and incredible prizes on the table today. So for the grand prize winner, as you heard from Carlotta, we have an Expo East booth and an invitation to pitch as a semi-finalist at the Expo East Pitch Slam. Compliments of New Hope. Thanks again, Carlotta. We also have $5,000 cash money from Aspect Consumer Partners. Amazing. And we have a SPINS market research report valued at $10,000. Those are also very, very important. And along with that, we have a great curated package of really cool professional services targeted towards CPG startups. So for the second prize, we have the invitation to pitch as a semi-finalist at the Expo East Pitch Slam. Again, compliments of New Hope Network and Carlotta and team. We have $1,000 cash money. I'm going to say cash money every time. It's that exciting. And we have a SPINS market research report valued at $3,500. Awesome. So exciting. Last but not least, we have the Don Booter People Choice Award. So Don, as you probably saw from the chat, is here today. He is the founder of Naturally Bay Area and has just put so much blood, sweat, and tears into getting this network alive, and we are incredibly grateful for him. So this means people's choice. You, the people, you, the audience, are going to vote on this, and whoever receives it is going to get $1,000 cash money. Very exciting. So let's talk about, other than the People's Choice Award, who is going to determine which entrepreneurs win these wonderful prizes. Judges, we have judges. We have a really great group of judges. They're such cool people. First, we have Brad Barnhorn, who is a board member and strategic advisor at Barnhorn Board Services. We have Diana Tremblay, who's the Chief Program Officer at ICA. We have Greg Fleshman. He's the co-founder and general partner at Good Alpha Industries VC. We have Shahir Amin. He is the principal at Sonoma Brands Capital. And we have Thuy Nguyen, who is the forager at Good Eggs. What a cool group. So you guys, this is a pitch slam. We are here to pitch. Let's get to it. We have the moment you've all been waiting for, the entrepreneurs. So our 7 fantastic entrepreneurs will each get 5 minutes to pitch, followed by 4 minutes of Q&A from our judges. And we're going to kick things off with Ryan Johnston. He is the co-founder and CEO of Biotic Ferments. Ryan and his brother Adam started the business together and are known as the beverage bros. As he put it, if something can be fermented, they've probably tried it. Take it away, Ryan.
Thank you, Lisa. So grateful to be here. So we started Biotic because supporting the healthier gut microbiome is one of the most powerful ways to increase overall human well-being. I'm excited to introduce you all to Kvass, the new wave of probiotic beverages made from the cleanest organic whole food ingredients enlivened by craft fermentation. Next slide. By fueling our fermentations with sliced beets and carrots, we've overcome the 2 biggest drawbacks to kombucha, the high levels of sugar and that strong vinegar taste. Our products are 1 part tradition and 1 part innovation. Kvass is a traditional fermented beverage from Eastern Europe, classically made from beets. and has provided gut health support to the people of that region for centuries, including our Polish ancestors. But beets aren't everybody's cup of tea. So we've come up with what we call West Coast kvass, using sliced organic carrots plus cold pressed juices to extend our range of refreshing flavors. Next slide. Thanks to the success of kombucha, the refrigerated fermented beverage category is a grocery store staple. But most of the products in this set, while packaging and flavors vary, are fundamentally the same. At their base, they're a kombucha made of refined sugar and tea. We're disrupting this category with something entirely fresh. In 2021, kvass started being tracked by Spins as a unique product type. It's the fastest growing product type in the category, and Biotic is leading the way. We have 55% of the market share. The next biggest brand has 20%, and we have 5 of the top 6 SKUs. Next slide. I used to drink kombucha, but then I realized how much sugar it has. That's the #1 thing we hear from our customers, and it's what's driving this trend change. We all know sugar is bad for us, but consuming sugar in beverages is absolutely the worst way to go. It's quick to go into your bloodstream, it spikes your blood glucose, and it sends your body on a metabolic roller coaster. I call your attention to the purple line in this table. This is our best-selling ginger SKU next to the best-selling ginger SKUs of the category leaders. In addition for solving for sugar, our products are less acidic, making them gentle on your belly. They have no caffeine, alcohol, or yeast, and they have a crisp, approachable flavor. Kvass has the potential to both reinvigorate the core kombucha customers, as well as invite new probiotic seekers into the set for the reasons I've mentioned here. Next slide. Gut health is not optional. You can't be at your best when your gut is out of whack. When your digestion is messed up, it pulls down the health of your entire body. Our name is Biotic because we uniquely deliver all 3 biotics to cultivate a happy gut. We use science-backed species of beneficial bacteria to drive our fermentation. These are the probiotics, and you can think of them as the seeds. Cold pressed juices deliver polyphenols, which are the prebiotics. You can think of these as the fertilizers for the good bugs. And then through the fermentation process, we develop postbiotics, which are the mulch, which suppress the growth of bad bugs. Next slide. Having a positive impact is in the DNA of Biotic. We're a certified B Corp, and here are some of the ways that we've organizationally incorporated reducing our carbon footprint, investing in regional economies, and increasing the resilience of our supply web. I'd especially underscore that 85% of our ingredients come from within the state of California. These are coming from both upcycle sources that reduce food waste, as well as farms practicing regenerative agriculture. This level of regionality is incredibly rare in our category and is frankly unachievable by other products made from a base of refined sugar and tea. Next slide. One of our biggest competitive advantages is that we're vertically integrated. Our family owns our co-packer, Probiotic Productions, which is in Petaluma, California. This has all sorts of advantages, but the biggest is that it's allowed us to really dial in on our fermentation IP. A lot of the biggest kombucha companies, because of the nature of kombucha, still brew in 5-gallon glass jars and it takes 30 days to turn a batch. Kvass is completely different. Today, our batches are 200 times that size and we turn them in 1/10 the time, allowing us to drive down cost much faster as we scale. Next slide. Success in business is all about focus. So we focused on winning in West Coast retail. This is the biggest kombucha market in the world, and most consumers still go to the grocery store to discover new products. We've scrapped our way to 425 leading natural retail doors, and we have pilots rolling out this summer with both Raley's and Safeway. Despite being in one of the most competitive categories in the entire grocery store, we've continued to see our velocities increase, driven by standout shelf presence and product quality. Next slide. Adam and I are incredibly passionate about what we do, and we're driven. But we're also open-minded and coachable, which has allowed us to attract this amazing team of advisors and investors, which we're excited to continue growing. Next slide. We have national ambitions, but our next stage of growth is about going deep on the West Coast. We'll build a solid foundation of business from here, and then we'll continue to expand. Thank you so much for the opportunity to pitch, and I'd love to hear from you.
Wow, Ryan, that was so great. I don't know if you hear that sound. That's me pouring my kombucha down the drain. I'm convinced. Judges, what questions do you have? Let's kick it off with Brad. Brad is also pouring his kombucha down the drain, but he will be here shortly.
I am here. Am I on video as well?
Yes, you are.
Okay, great. Thanks, Ryan. This category is near and dear to me from my time working with Kavita, which did have some sugar in it, I do confess. So Anyway, my question for you is, talk to me a bit about the brand in terms of Kvass, which is which is your primary distinguisher. It's a segment you're trying to build, and how you thought about balancing that being a headline on the packaging versus being a very subliminal messaging and sort of sublimate it to some of the benefits of the product that you sort of featured more in your packaging. So oftentimes companies, the thing that makes them different is the thing that also they're a little nervous to get out and really yell behind. So I'm curious how you thought about brand communication on packaging for the segment.
Yeah, I'd say that's certainly the case for us in terms of, sometimes being a little concerned about getting completely behind that initially. With our packaging currently, we didn't want Kvass to be a hindrance to folks. It's still not something that's dramatically recognized. It is on the front panel of the packaging, and on the side panel does a nice job kind of telling the story of what Kvass is and how it's different. And I can see down the road as we continue to build this category out and really become a category creator, putting that front and center. It was just last year that Spin started tracking Kvass uniquely. So we're kind of in this trend change where it's really being recognized as its own segment. Prior to that, it was sort of mashed in, and so we really focused on speaking to the benefits that are in it rather than Kvass itself, which can be confusing.
Thank you.
Hi, Ryan. You did a really great job. Thanks for your pitch. I have a question around your margins and profitability. Where are you on your path to profitability right now?
So we closed last year with a 36% gross margin. We have a 55% contribution margin. Trade spend was a bit high as we opened up some new DCs and expanded to some new markets this year, but we're on a pathway to close the year with a 40% gross margin. Does that answer your question? Okay.
I think there was a big thumbs up. Oh yeah, other judges, come on.
I think that's over to me now. Oh, Simi, that's great.
Yeah, go ahead, hop on in.
Yeah, hi, hey Ryan, nice to see you. Great presentation. So for the Kvass process, what is it about how you are processing Kvass that makes it proprietary and non-replicatable by anyone else out in the market?
So we've got years, if you taste traditional Kvass, it's quite different in its flavor profile. And so through our years of developing the product, it's moved from being this kind of salty, earthy expression to being really clean and crisp. And that's temperatures, different microbes that we're working with. So there's a whole aspect of that there. But we're also working with a leading Danish culture lab right now to develop a proprietary strain of some of the best studied probiotics to drive our fermentations there as well. Most of the people that are in our space are still wild fermenting. So we're pretty unique in that we're in the plant-based space using whole food ingredients, but we're also culturing with well-studied probiotics. And there's very few companies that have actually combined those two. We sort of think of ourselves as the best worlds between sauerkraut and supplements and combining those in a whole food form.
Hi, Ryan. I loved your presentation. You really sold it on the difference of kombucha versus Kvass. I'm curious, what your marketing plan is to tell your story when it's just sitting on the shelf next to all the other kombuchas in the space.
So we did a dramatic pack change, as you know, at the start of 2021. We saw our average, so it went from looking like something that kind of blended into something that completely jumps off the shelf to people. It looks different than anything in the category because it is different than anything in the category. And just as a result of that, we saw our average velocities.
I can tell there was really great things at the end of that sentence. Thank you so much, Ryan. What a wonderful way to kick it off. Now I am very excited to bring up our next entrepreneur. We're gonna stay in the beverage space. We're gonna turn things up a notch with Donna Katz, who is the founder and CEO of G's Hard Ginger Beer. She is an avid Pearl Jam fan, fun fact. She once traveled from London to Honolulu just for the weekend to see Pearl Jam perform. So Donna, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you. Introducing G's Dry Hard Ginger Beer right here in San Francisco's Bay Area, addressing the needs of the growing movement of people seeking cleaner alcohol options that support active, healthier lifestyles. Next. G'day, my name is Donna Katz and I'm the founder at G's. I began fermenting ginger for my own gut health, but that is not where this story begins. In 2013, I desired to be closer to the land, and I moved to Napa Valley, where I started dry farming a small block of grapevines organically by hand. and making restrained style wines. It was farming that opened my eyes to what it really means to care for the land, and winemaking that piqued my interest into the nutritious side of fermentation. In 2017, I dove headfirst into crafting ginger beers from locally foraged and seasonal ingredients, and was blown away at the incredible taste and quality, real ingredients, and absolutely no remaining sugar. Then the Aussie in me was like, geez, why isn't there any alcohol in these incredibly superb beverages? And why can't I buy this? And that's when I decided to roll up my sleeves and create these delicious dry hard ginger beers. Next. First to market in 2018 with a new category of ginger-based beverage alcohol. Every shelf-stable G's is gluten-free and plant-based with no added sweeteners, erythritol, stevia, and absolutely no artificial ingredients. Our 4.5% ABV cans are a mere 87 calories, and we choose organic first for our fruits, botanicals, and spices, as we believe there are better and cleaner ways to enjoy a beverage. Next. The ethos behind every G's is why this brand successfully overlaps multiple market segments. Low calorie, 0 grams of sugar, organic ingredients, fits perfectly within the wellness and the better for you beverage alcohol space. G's approachability, it's ready to drink and ready to mix, makes it a star for the RTD segment. And the ginger itself behind every G's, that will awaken the sleepy $1.6 billion household ginger beer market here in the United States that's itching for innovation. Next. And the market is responding. With 500 plus points of distribution so far, we are on a path to saturating California and beyond. G's has a core mandate at Target here in the Bay Area, at Whole Foods in Northern and Southern California, and we continue to over-index in many natural and independent grocers with velocities of 5 to 10 plus cases per month in brand building locations such as Good Earth, Berkeley Bowl, and Good Eggs. Next. Our hero is ginger, and our edge is innovation. Ginger has many scientifically proven biohealth gut benefits, and we've unlocked a fermentation formula to a beverage and an experience that is unique and tasty, real and unadulterated. In beverage, fermentation is the process of converting sugars to alcohol, and all of G's are fermented to dry by design. We look for balance in botanicals such as mint and heather flowers that open and enliven the senses, give a bright and fresh perception of sweetness, and a taste and appeal that just makes you want to smile. Next. The San Francisco Chronicle's esteemed journalist Esther Mobley agrees. And you want to know what else is ace about ginger beer with alcohol and no sugar? No sugar highs or lows. Or as we'd say in Australian English, shit shouldn't be so hard. Just have a moment with your beverage and enjoy being in your happy place. Next. Happy is where we're going, and we've got the team to propel us. Head of sales with experience in hard kombucha, advisors in marketing, brand, and strategic thinking, and most notably, an industry expert who founded, scaled, and exited her brand to Sierra Nevada. Add the brand building distributor Wine Warehouse, and G's eco-cool engines are roaring. Next. Finally, our ask. Yes, we are actively fundraising, but our ask today is to send us to Expo East. Winning this pitch is important to this brand for all of the wonderful and obvious reasons of exposure, validation, and support that we would graciously appreciate. But you want to know what else? It'll also mean more shrimp on the barbie, and well, that's pretty important too. Next. Now is the time for emerging beverage alcohol brands that are better for you and better for all life. Now is the time for G's, and we're setting our sights and innovation pipeline to becoming compelling national and international brand. So cheers, and thank you, Naturally Bay Area.
Geez, that was a great pitch. Had to add one more G's joke to the G's repertoire. Now would love to bring up our wonderful judges.
Hi, Donna, fantastic job. Obviously a super compelling category and very kind of intriguing positioning within that. Can you talk a little bit about what you've learned about who your consumer is, who they are, and what categories they're primarily migrating from?
Yeah, that's a great question. Our consumers are migrating from, so this is an occasion base that adds an option as opposed to takes away or removes or replaces necessarily. So we are seeing a movement in general away from more traditional into moderate alcohol and into specialty beverage. And certainly into beverages that are more transparent about their ingredient profile and their nutrition profile. So we see active and healthier lifestyles as being a main driver behind, you know, the movement of people seeking these cleaner alcohol options. People sometimes don't feel like a beer, and so they want an alternative. We use our drinks as mixers as well. So they provide an occasion in cocktails. They provide an occasion that, you know, is an after work or is a picnic as friends. It can be an alternative, but more it's just another option. So we're seeing along the cusp of male versus female, it's actually quite split, which is interesting. We have a lot of men that enjoy drinking our ginger beers because it gives the flavor that they're after, even if they don't feel like a beer per se, doesn't make them feel bloated or full, and they get that full beverage experience with a product like ours. And for females, especially who don't drink beer, and we know that 70% of females approximately do not drink beer, that they're gravitating to a beverage like this because it's light, it's refreshing, it's approachable, and it's ticking a lot of boxes for them.
Great. Thanks, Don. This is Brad. So I have a question about the economics of the business and the cash requirements of the business. This is a category that's getting a lot of attention right now, not ginger specifically, but healthy alcohol. I'm on the board of Flying Embers, so I'm aware of the amount of capital being raised in this space very intimately. Talk to me about your margin structure and sort of how that evolves, like where you are today in terms of margin, gross margin, and your sort of sense of how much capital it's going to take to get this business to break even.
Yeah, great question. Thank you. So on a weighted average, we're around the 36 to 38, 36, 37, 38 gross margin on a weighted average right now. You know, we're all dealing with what we're all dealing with on supply chain and feeling the effects of that. And so, you know, it's our challenge to continue to make sure that we've got a diverse amount of suppliers on the supply and the packaging side, raw ingredients and packaging side, and taking a look at what those margins are looking like, and also remaining competitive on the shelf, which we are, and we've actually left ourselves room there as well, which is great. What do we need and where are we going? So we're, you know, next stop for us is to the 2 to 3 million trailing is what we're setting our sights on. And with the fundraising efforts so far, we're already almost just over 50% subscribed to our current fundraising round. When we close that out, we believe that that's the amount that will get us through the runway to that 2 to 3 million, possibly even 5, depending on how we look at where and how our production goes and what scale looks like. But right now we're looking to saturate the Californian market first before we go out of market. And at that point, we might look at where other co-packers might exist outside of California to continue to be mindful around cost and cost structure.
Thank you, Donna.
I'm going to ask my question the fastest because we don't have that much time. It's a great, tell me a little bit about your team and how your team is going to help you get to that growth.
Yeah, sure. So I just brought on our head of sales from the hard kombucha space, which is an appropriate category to be bringing that level of experience in, and the advisors that we have that have been helping steer.
I'm sure she has amazing advisors. Thank you, Donna. Thank you, judges. That was incredible. Super excited to bring up our next finalist. I'd like to introduce Pauline Ang, who's the founder and CEO of Twrl Milk Tea. Pauline has already shown that she is an incredible, resilient entrepreneur, able to roll with the punches. Her Expo West booth was stolen 3 days before the Expo trade show. And so she, trying to locate the thief and the booth, contacted the local news channel and was featured on the evening news that night. Way to go, Pauline. Take it from here.
Hi, everyone. My name is Pauline Ang. I am the founder and CEO of Twrl Milk Tea, an artisanal plant-based milk tea that's 100% female and minority owned. And we're inspired by our Asian American heritage, innovation for finding unique flavors, and our passion for sustainability with partnerships with small organic family tea farms and using arguably one of the most climate-friendly plant-based milk that's made out of peas. Next. So our idea for Twrl actually came from the love of our homemade milk tea that our moms used to make for us growing up. And when the bubble tea craze exploded in the United States, we were naturally obsessed with this drink, but realized that these drinks had way too much sugar, too many calories, and not something we could drink every day. So we just decided to make our own milk tea at home with better ingredients. But when the pandemic hit in 2020, our priorities really shifted. Living a healthy lifestyle was even more important. And we've just felt like it was the right time to do something we were truly passionate about, to create something healthier that our family, our kids, and our friends could feel good about drinking. And that's how Twrl was born. With my 15 years of CPG and branding design experience and my co-founder Olivia's superpower for PR and sales, we really think we are the perfect team to create this experience, heritage, and passion for this beloved drink. Next. So fun fact, tea is actually the #2 drink in the world, and the only thing people drinking more is water. The ready-to-drink tea market is reaching $39 billion in 2027. And in this subset, milk tea is actually the fastest growing beverage category, outpacing water with a growth rate of almost 9%. Next slide. So right now, you'll see that the milk tea category is ripe for that better for you transformation. On the shelves, you'll see the evolution of soda, coffee, juice, it's everywhere. So it's time for milk tea to make this shift too. Currently, milk tea is only found in cafes with alarming amounts of calorie and sugar, or dairy-based canned Asian imports loaded with sugar, fake tea flavoring, and preservatives. You just won't find any brand in mainstream retail doing what we're doing, which is a better for you, great tasting, ready to drink milk tea. Next. So we are literally disrupting this beverage category because according to Spins and Nielsen reports, this ready to drink milk tea category doesn't actually exist. So what makes Twrl truly special? We're really proud of the premium tea that we are sourcing from small family farms rather than commercial farms. And these are artisanal tea varietals and flavors with hojicha, jasmine pu'er, and a proprietary black milk tea that no other brand can replicate. Because of the high quality tea, we have 3 times the amount of antioxidants and L-theanine. We don't have to add any flavoring, and it gives you that clean, calm energy that's the perfect coffee alternative. It's only 45 calories and lightly sweetened with 6 grams of low glycemic organic agave. And we use an amazing pea milk, which has a neutral taste. It regenerates the soil that it grows in, 75% less carbon emissions than dairy, and 60% less sugar than oat milk. And finally, we nitro infuse it for a fresh, smooth, creamy taste right out of the can. Next. So how do we get from our kitchen to Costco in less than 24 months? Well, we actually launched in the middle of the pandemic, and retailers were busy stocking up on toilet paper at that time. So we grew our D2C business on our website and Amazon using data to really understand our core consumer base. When retailers started to open up, we focused on stores in the Bay Area and built a loyal customer base in our own backyard. This year, we had a phenomenal Expo West. We were one of the best beverage finalists. We got live TV coverage, and we met with many major retailers, including Costco. And just last month, we launched in Costco in Southern California to validate our consumer tribe that exists in channels like these. Next slide. As you can see, we hit a key moment in our business by moving from D2C to retail and much larger distribution. Onboarding retailers like Costco and potentially next year with national chains like Whole Foods and Target, we are projected to triple sales to reach over 1 million in 2023. Next slide. Through consumer research and testing, we found that our most loyal and tremendously supportive customers are those AAPI individuals, working professionals who really care about that healthy lifestyle, who love shopping at Costco, as validated in this CNBC article. Even though an early Costco launch is the non-traditional route to retail growth, they've become a really great partner with lots of Asian-inspired foods and plant-based options already in the stores. We truly feel we can speak authentically to this group because it's actually who we are. Next. So to fuel the rocket ship, we are looking to raise 1.25 million, of which we've already raised $250,000. We're currently a 2-person team with few contractors, and we need to hire the right team for full-time operations, sales and marketing, support trade spend and retail promotions as we expand our distribution, R&D initiatives for product extensions, and scaling production to meet that demand. So with this, next slide. With this, I'm officially inviting all of you to twirl with us as we lead the only better for you milk tea.
Colleen, that was amazing. We are twirling with you. That was incredible. Thank you so much. Judges, what questions do you have? Let's kick it off with Greg.
Great, Prezzo. Thank you for that. So what is the one thing that gives you an advantage over everyone else in the category that you're playing in?
Well, we actually are the only better for you version of what we're making. So everyone else in the category doesn't have a plant-based milk like us. We actually are the only ones using pea milk. We have very unique sourcing from small family farms, and we really pride ourselves in having unique flavors that nobody else has.
Hey, Pauline, that was a great presentation. Thank you. With your sourcing from like small organic family farms in Asia, how are you poised to grow that, to scale your business?
So we are actually helping these small organic family farms grow just as we are growing. The first time we ordered from them, they actually cried because it was their birthday and it was the largest order they'd ever gotten. And they're actually expanding their growth because we are also expanding our growth, and they are primed to be able to deliver the amount of tea that we need.
Fantastic job, Pauline. One of the beautiful parts of the story for me is, you're part of a large growing category, but at the same time, there is differentiation. As you mentioned, there's not a ton of, retail brands offering what Twrl is offering. But one of the challenging parts can be on the marketing side. Can you talk a little bit about just the marketing strategy and driving and creating that awareness with consumers?
Sure. We've been really focused in the Bay Area where we have a really strong consumer base. As I said, we are looking for channels that have people who know what milk tea is, who truly are our tribe. And we are really targeting those with, the traditional ways, online marketing, social media. Also, we do a lot of in-person events so that we can truly understand our customer base and then use that data to create a larger campaign and focus on people who really understand who we are and educating them that milk tea is actually the next coffee latte. It's actually better. It's better for you. It doesn't give you the jitters like coffee does. So we really want to expand that market to become the next coffee alternative.
Great. Thanks, Pauline. Great job on the presentation. My question is a little longer term question, which is, milk tea can come in powder form, can come in different forms. RTD obviously is where you're focused. Is that the pure play forever? Or what is your vision longer term for the brand? I'm curious in how you think about that question.
So as you know, in bubble tea shops, there could be hundreds of different flavors. We aren't really doing that, but we are having product line extensions launching next year. So we are aware that, people do want more variety of flavors. We're also developing a product that's kind of a complementary to a milk tea, as you probably all might be wondering. So we're going to introduce toppings next year, and we're really excited about that. It's also going to be a better for you version. And we truly think that this is our next step to creating that full experience with the milk tea and this category.
Look forward to tasting this.
Pauline, you started with Costco, getting into the SoCal Costco. Can you tell me a little bit more about your regional expansion growth plan after Costco?
So we actually we actually launched in Costco this year. We actually launched in our own backyard. We are in about 70-ish retailers in the Bay Area. So we are still focusing on the Bay Area, but we are expanding to Southern California because we found that our consumers most of them are in California right now. We're actually going to be expanding to the East Coast, probably in the Northeast, New York City, New Jersey, that area.
Man, so much expansion. We had to do a big thing about it. Great questions, judges. Great job, Pauline. All right, on to our next finalist. I would like to bring up Reed Pearson. He's the founder and CEO of Zeek. So Reed and Cassidy launched Zeek Bar by selling at local swim meets. And one of their customers actually broke Michael Phelps' swim record at a meet where they were selling Zeek Bar. So I'm pretty sure if you eat Zeek Bars, you become greater than Michael Phelps. That was my takeaway. Take it away, Reed.
Yeah, thanks so much. I am not guaranteeing that. Hey everyone, my name is Reed. I am the co-founder and CEO of Zeek Bar. We are reimagining the kids snack bar, and we're building the next great kids brand. Next slide. Millennial parents list sugar as their #1 concern when evaluating snacks for their family. I know as a parent of a young toddler, if he eats too much sugar, he's going to be bouncing off the walls and riding around on his golden doodle like a crazy man. So we're in the same boat with that one. Next slide. And categories are adapting. There was plus 20 billion in low sugar claims in 2021 versus 2020. Next slide. And yet 95% of the $1.4 billion granola bar category still contains more than 8 grams of sugar per bar. This is a massive category that is waiting to be disrupted. Next slide. We fundamentally reimagined the kids bar. We're using all natural, non-GMO ingredients like almond butter and honey to deliver a snack bar with 50% less sugar versus the leading kids bar. With just 5 grams of sugar, this is our key differentiator in the category and was driving initial trial and adoption of our snack bars. We also pack in 4 times more protein to better fuel growing kids. And most importantly, we developed a flavor profile and a soft texture that satisfies and delights the kid palate. Next slide. Zeek bars are a truly differentiated product in the category, but we know that that's not going to be enough to sustain our competitive advantage as a challenger brand over the long term. As much as we're excited about the product opportunity in this space, we're equally excited about the brand opportunity. We see a major opening to leverage new media to build a brand that's for kids, by kids. Next slide. And this is where it gets really exciting for me. Imagine Red Bull meets Nickelodeon. We want to bring kids into the center of everything that we're doing as a brand, from ambassadors and content creators to activations at youth sporting events, to investing in the social causes that kids actually care about, and even education and employment with our partnerships with local high schools and colleges. This unique brand strategy really positions us in stark contrast to the corporate brands that are focused primarily on their adult product lines and that have failed to capture the attention and the imagination of kids. Next slide. So what have we done so far? This is our 3rd year in business. We're on pace to do $200,000 in sales this year, primarily through 2 channels. In June of 2020, right after the pandemic, we launched into 40 Northern California Whole Foods. This year, we're up 173%, selling about 4.5 units per store per SKU. We just onboarded with UNFI. We'll be launching into additional independents like Nugget Markets and Woodlands next month for our busy back to school season. On the online side, we've really proven out the product via Amazon. We have hundreds of 5-star reviews. We have a 40% reorder rate, and we recently became an Amazon best-selling product. Next slide. So where are we going? What do we want to build here? Our vision is to build a national brand, and we want to do that by doubling revenue each year. In the next 2 years, we're going to focus on building out the natural channel in a really strategic and focused way. That's something a lot of entrepreneurs have said today, and I'm happy to hear that. We're in the same boat. On the online side, we want to continue scaling up online through Amazon. And to zoom out and give you a broader perspective of the opportunity at hand here, we anticipate that less than 8 gram of sugar segment of the granola bar category to grow from 5% to 20% by 2026. That creates a $400 million opportunity, and we intend to be the leader of that subcategory. Next slide. So I have a background in business and startups. My wife, who's also my co-founder, she has some great branding and marketing experience from brands like Nike and Google. The bottom line for Cassie and I is we feel like building this company is what we were meant to do. And now with a little one of our own, this mission is even more deeply personal to us. Next slide. And since kids are at the center of everything that we do at Zeek Bar, here's a quick message from some of Team Zeek.
Hi, Naturally Bay Area. Naturally Bay Area. Hi, Naturally Bay Area. Hey, Naturally Bay Area. Zeek Bars walk. You rock. Let's build a great brand together. For kids, by kids.
Love Jack. So we are raising our first, we've been bootstrapped today. We're raising our first seed round next month, and we're actually reserving a piece of that round exclusively for kids and families to become investors and owners in the brand via a WeFunder campaign. If our mission resonates with you, we would love to connect with you. Thank you guys so much.
That was awesome. Reed, my toddler, would like to be an investor. Let's connect later. Judges, let's hear what questions you have. Kicking it off with Greg.
Thanks, Reed. Appreciate it. So I'll be quick. What's have you learned so far consumers care most about your product and brand?
this is a huge learning for us. It's all about sugar. When we launched, we thought we were going to be like the power bar for kids sports. And what we learned through going through retail on Amazon, it's sugar, sugar, sugar. So we actually tweaked the formula to cut out a little more sugar. That's our big hero claim on front. And that's definitely what we lead with.
Hi, Reed. Great presentation. I was curious, what would you say to critics that say that kids should be eating more whole foods versus like protein bars, and protein bars could be more for like adults' lifestyles?
Yeah, I mean, we go through this as parents. I mean, I think, we're not trying to replace real meals here. As parents, it's like you're on the go, you need something to keep them busy to fill in the gaps. So when you fill in those gaps, you're going to reach for something that's convenient, that's quick, and that's not messy. And so, but typically it's all granola bars, and those are made of oats and grains and syrups. And so what we're saying is like, let's bring some innovation that's happened on the adult side. Let's make something healthier for kids that they actually like. So it's just a better option for those in between periods.
Thank you.
Thanks, Reed.
Great job, Reed. You had flashed some initial velocity metrics from Whole Foods. Could you help me comp that against the competitive set and who you would view as your peers?
Yeah, so like the biggest competitor is Cliff Bar. They have their Z Bar, kids bars. The competitive data we have, those are about 6 units per store per SKU. We're competing. I mean, it's obviously a competitive category. It's big brands. So we've just kind of slowly been incrementally working our way up to that 6 point. I mean, promotions matter a lot in this category. We're really learning how to drive velocity through that. We have some nice off shelf coming next month for back to school. So we're kind of just keeping at it and steadily ticking away.
Thanks, Reed. I love the letter Z. So anything with the beginning of the letter Z, I tend to like. But anyway, I was curious about in the bricks and mortar, not your Amazon piece, bricks and mortar, your merchandising strategy in terms of where on shelf are you trying to be? Is it in kids sets? Is it in the bar sets? So how do you think about that, and how much conviction do you have in that to say no to retailers if they don't give you what you want? So curious.
A lot of conviction that we need to be in, they call it the breakfast bar set, which is the multi-pack. That's the kid. That's where mom goes, where she's like, hey, I need something for the lunchbox. That's where we have to be. We're not going after the nutrition bar, single serve, grab and go adult. So we push really hard for the multi-pack breakfast bar category.
Hey, Reed, can you share a little bit about products extensions in the future? I have a 6-year-old. They don't allow nuts at school. So what are you thinking? How are you going to solve to that?
Yeah, a quick note on the nuts. I mean, our bet was we're going sugar and protein, so we made that trade-off, right? We can't be all things to all kids. We tried like sunflower butter. You just lose the taste. If you lose the taste, you lose everything. Product line extensions. I mean, I'll go back to focus. Like, yes, one day if you build a brand platform, which we do want to invest heavily in, as I described, it's possible to do extensions, but really for us in the near term, we can build a very good sized business by staying focused in the bar category. So that's what we intend to do. We only have 2 SKUs right now, 2 flavors. So the immediate steps will be establish additional flavors, but we're going to be sticking in the bar set for a while. I mean, it's just the most convenient thing that parents grab and throw in the lunchbox. It's a high velocity category. It has all the attributes that we want to try to disrupt.
Do we have another question?
Yeah, we got time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
oh my gosh. Okay, I'll go quick. So I was noticing that I don't see any non-GMO or nothing artificial attributes or call-outs. So can you take the next 10 minutes and explain to me?
Greg, let me send you over. I have a thesis on this. It'll be in your inbox. It'll be there.
Thank you guys. That was awesome. Way to go, Reed. Great questions, judges. Now I'm super excited to bring up our next entrepreneur, Ryan Armstead, who is the co-founder and CEO of Happy Moose Juice. So Ryan started the business delivering all these juices by hand on his skateboard, and now is very excited to call the Bay Area's most elite, including Laureen Powell Jobs and Jack Dorsey, daily consumers. Ryan, I really hope you still deliver on a skateboard. So take it from here. Thanks.
Thank you. And what's up, y'all? My name is Ryan. I'm the founder of San Francisco-based Happy Moose Juice. Did you know that in the last century, over 93% of crop and seed varieties have been lost due to monocrop agriculture? And even more biodiversity is on the verge of extinction. Or how about the 82% of Americans have highly detectable traces of cancer-causing chemical glyphosate in their bodies? Lastly, 10% of greenhouse gases come from decomposing food waste. Today, I'm excited to share how Happy Moose Juice is solving some of the food industry's biggest challenges while we're having fun doing it. We're the first line of organic fresh pressed juices and shots made from heirloom produce that's sourced direct from sustainable family farms. So let me define some things. Organic means no GMOs, chemicals, or glyphosate. Heirloom means natural pollination of diverse seed varieties, which create the most flavorful and nutritious produce on the planet. We ladder up to create happy farmers, happy consumers, and a happy planet. But who cares and why should they? Well, more than 36% of consumers aged 18 to 29 prefer organic foods. That trend is growing with every new generation. And 55% of consumers are more likely to purchase foods that contain a sustainability claim. And who wants to see our vibrant food diversity snuffed out by destructive commercial farming? It's critical to preserve heirloom now. And so we're sourcing from farms who make that possible. Next slide. Perishable juice is a $7.5 billion category growing 13% annually, but it's dominated by multinational conglomerates with little to no motivation to improve quality or innovate. They're content using industrially grown produce and then cheaply processing with pasteurization. The good news is this leaves a big opportunity for a brand like us to disrupt the space. We know our consumer is more educated and they're looking for nothing but tasty goodness. Next slide. Imagine drinking a juice from just picked heirloom fruit. I'm talking Sumo mandarins, California blood oranges, Tart Tahoe green apples, and Eureka lemons. We have a strategic and vertically integrated manufacturing partnership unlike any other. That's with our primary farmer. They provide endless access to the imperfect harvest of hundreds of organic and heirloom growers. So sourcing, manufacturing are sustainable, scalable, and stable. And this is don't switch yet. Every time you enjoy a bottle of Happy Moose Juice, you're helping to rescue 1 pound of fresh produce. You're saving 15 gallons of wastewater and eliminating 3 pounds of would-be greenhouse gas emissions. Next slide. But our dazzling taste and sustainable sourcing are not mutually exclusive components. We can afford to bring these juices to market and be competitive on price because we get the oddly shaped and cosmetically imperfect pieces harvested by our growing partners. And before us, this wound up in a compost bin, creating tons of methane and carbon emissions. Next slide. Our sales traction proves that we're onto something that's truly special. We're self-funded and have raised small amounts from family and friends, but we've already eclipsed 10 million in lifetime sales. Last year, we hit 2 million in revenue, almost all which is attributable to one sales region of Northern California. Next slide. Along the way, we've built partnerships with brands like Pete's Coffee, Sunbasket, and Judge Twee's very own Good Eggs. We're currently in 550 doors en route to expanding in natural and forward-leaning retail and beyond through new partnerships with KeHE and UNFI. We've got a clear path to build out our distribution footprint, increase availability, and drive profitable growth. Our quality speaks for itself, y'all. And as an example, we'll soon be the single cold press brand on shelf at Central Market, replacing Evolution Fresh. We aim to duplicate our category leadership here in Northern California and grow to be a national leader in fresh juices. Next slide. Our biggest challenge has been pursuing all of our growth opportunities due to our limited operating capital. So if funded correctly, we're going to hit 8 million in revenue in the next 24 months. To invest in, we're beginning a seed fundraise seeking $1.5 million using a safe note with a 10 million cap and 20% discount. Next slide. The time is now for Happy Moose. Here's why. One, we're the first and only living juice using organic heirloom produce with just enough slight cosmetic imperfections for juicing, creating superior taste. Two, our strategic manufacturing partnership and customer relationships and geographic location make our position defensible. Y'all quit tripping and start sipping. Let's go.
Amazing. And love that that boom hit right on time. Perfect timing, Ryan. Well done, sir. Now excited to bring up the judges. Greg, I feel really bad. I cut you off. I told you you had time. You didn't have time, so you can go first.
Oh, thank you so much. So I'll make this quick. When you look at your sales plan over the coming years, which channel is going to be providing the strongest contribution margin so you're not burning through cash unnecessarily?
Yeah, strongest contribution margins, I would say, is going to be food service. There's little investment required for entry, trial, and discovery is fluid. So in terms of contribution margin, that's going to be the strongest channel in that regard.
Hi, Ryan. Great presentation. Love the product. I'm curious, can you talk about your team more and how you're poised for growth?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are a team of 6, and then we also have, our director of operations has 15 years of experience in food and beverage, but we also have a team of advisors and mentors, people who have been with Tropicana, Victoria's Secret. So we've got 6 or 7 industry veterans who are helping us, grow from here and advising us along the way.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. Great prez. Can you touched on a little bit in your presentation. Can you go a little deeper on the kind of current co-man network or current kind of manufacturing setup and the current capacity and runway and some of the capital requirements over the next 3, 4, 5 years to continue to build there?
Yeah, the great thing is that this is an extremely strategic relationship. So they also have a packing facility where the heirloom and organic farmers are sending their produce to be packed. About 33% of that is cosmetically imperfect or perfectly ripe at the time. So that's the produce that we're getting for our juicing. At our current facility, we have the ability to scale up beyond 10 million in revenue, and they're actually already in the process of building out a new facility, which will increase their capacity by about 4x. So we're going to have a line of sight to 50 million in revenue at the very least within the next 12 months.
Hey, Ryan, thanks for your prezzo and your commitment to sustainability. Really impressive thinking there on what you want to do different in the space. My question is on the launch of shots. It's my understanding you did launch a shot line, and how you think about the juice line and the shot line. Where's your focus currently? Which do you think is going to be the scale piece of the business, and how they work together or not?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, the consumer can be very different between the 2 products, but wellness shots and especially industry leaders tend to be juice shots. So it's a great adjacent category that allows us to play the shot line because of the size. You can ship more on a pallet. It's a higher margin unit. And so that's what led us to expand into shots fairly early on, that and just because it made sense from a category perspective. But I do see a lot of the higher margin growth being in the shot category. Right now, it's about 45% of our revenue, just 5 products. And so we see that being a big part of our growth plan and profitability over the long term.
The clock is going. Do I have time to ask a question? I'm just going to ask and be gone. All right, cool. Okay, cool. I have a question around your funding, like what you're raising. How much runway will that create for y'all, and what's the ROI on the other side of it if you raise it all?
Absolutely. So we've been bootstrapped to date, all family and friends and self-funded, but we're currently going into a seed fundraise looking for $1.5 million, which is going to give us runway for 24 months at the very least. It's going to allow us to get to 8 million in revenue. And so we believe that, with a 10 million cap and 20%,
that's time.
That's an attractive proposition to an investor. Thank you.
It's so attractive. We love it. We got it. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, judges. Those were great questions. Next, I would like to bring up Tiffany Wang, who is the founder and CEO of Ting. Tiffany has had a very interesting career, and probably the most interesting thing that she told me about is she was a Red Robin mascot at her high school. So Tiffany, take it away.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tiffany, and I'm the founder of Ting. We have a product unlike anything on the market. We're using the world's most nutritious, delicious, and biggest superfood, jackfruit, to bring you a revolutionary snack. Super crunchy jackfruit chips made with just 2 ingredients. Next slide. Food allergies and intolerance are driving the demand for healthy, savory snacks. And while there are plenty of options that claim to be better for you, they're neither nutritious or very tasty. The delicious flavor of jackfruit has been obscured by barbecue sauce and marketed as a meat substitute in Western diets. Next slide. But we use jackfruit that's harvested at peak ripeness to feature its naturally sweet yet savory complexity to make deliciously crunchy chips in just a touch of responsibly sourced palm oil. The secret is in our cooking process, which creates an airy chip with no greasy residue. Next slide. I launched Tings in just 3 short months, thanks to a background in international supply chain, business operations, graphic design, and brand strategy. I've also assembled a core team of advisors who specialize in startup growth and CPG, and we plan to hire key roles for sales and marketing next year. Next slide. During our pilot run, we landed key retailers, won a Best Savory Snack Award, and were featured by top global companies, proving that Tings has massive brand appeal and product fit. And all this was before our strategic rebrand. Next slide. Jackfruit is the star of the vegan world, and its demand is growing quickly due to its high nutritional value and versatility. Coincidentally, the vegan snack market is also blowing up and is expected to reach $80 billion by 2030, with savory snacks showing especially strong sales. Next slide. Our chips stand alone when it comes to taste, nutrition, and innovation, and we are seizing on a white space opportunity with our unique product. Not to mention, consumers are voting with their dollars, and sustainable products are growing faster than their conventional counterparts in over 90% of CPG categories. Next slide. Jackfruit is called the miracle crop and the most vital crop for the future in the face of climate change. It contains almost every vitamin and mineral our bodies need, and just 1 jackfruit can feed a small family for a whole day. From trunk to seed, scientists and entrepreneurs from all over the world are finding endless ways to use jackfruit. Next slide. We are building on our existing retailers and corporate accounts to ramp up footprint in the NorCal and Northwest regions to unlock UNFI by the end of this year. Next year, we plan to hit natural chains and the e-commerce space and launch 2 new flavors. Next slide. Our chips sell at $5 retail and $3 wholesale, with already very healthy margins that will increase as we scale. And we will scale because our facility can produce 37,000 units of Tings a day, totaling $5.3 million in gross revenue a month. Our first 50,000 units of reformulated and rebranded products are arriving next month and will generate $200,000 with combined DTC and B2B sales. With our updated inventory on its way, we locked in over $20,000 in online pre-orders last month and secured new partner accounts like Good Eggs and Tinder to provide office snacks. Next slide. I have invested over $30,000 to bring this product to market, and now we're opening up to a few strategic investors to partner with as we scale. I'm asking $500,000 in order to ramp up e-commerce, hire key staff for sales and marketing, and to launch 2 new SKUs in the next 12 months. Next slide. Jackfruit is the future, and we need to capture the moment now to be an early mover in this white space. Like the chickpea brand Hippies, we have the formula in place to be the next big thing in better for you snacks. I'll end with a quote from our partner at Tinder. Tings is everything we're looking for. A woman-owned brand with a compelling story and an exciting new product. Thank you.
Amazing. I love that. Did Tinder swipe right on you and
I guess
giving
so.
you that quote?
They showed it.
So good. And you were under time, so there was no ding, ding, ding. But I might be the new ding, ding going forward. So just everybody have a little patience with my best ding, ding, ding. We are going to go ahead and bring up the judges. Judges, what questions do you have? I believe we're starting with Greg.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Stephanie. Greg. So because we have time, I have a 10-part question. So I'm going to begin with, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
Be gentle.
Given the chip category, yes, I'm kidding. So the chip category, huge, very competitive. So what are you doing on the marketing side to break through, connect with consumers, and really build that community behind Tings?
So in the early stages, it was a big word of mouth effort from friends and family and tapping into everyone's personal and professional networks. I also targeted influencers to exchange products for promotion, which helped generate a lot of DTC sales along with our own content. In the first few months, actually, I would set out on foot every few days to hand out samples at parks. And by the time I reached the other side of the park, I would usually have 1 to 2 online orders, which averaged $26 per order. And from there, I was definitely learning about the CPG industry and became very immersed in the CPG industry, joining as many Facebook groups and Slack communities, as well as Naturally Bay Area, which gave me a huge push early on because we landed Buy Right, which was a big goal of mine. And they continue to be a great partner retailer to this day. And so in the future, we will continue combining targeted influencers with organic reach through social media to create a funnel that brings customers to our website to shop and, most importantly, learn about jackfruit. And the path has already been paved for jackfruit in vegan, plant-based, vegetarian communities. And many people have heard of jackfruit, but they don't necessarily know all the ways in which it could be used. And so when they see it on the shelf in an approachable and a straightforward product, it's a chip, it's a texture that we're all familiar with and that we love, people are inclined to try it. And so, and with that, we are also keen on live demos and events and taking advantage of opportunities that feature women-owned or AAPI-owned businesses. And long-term, we're setting aside a budget for more traditional press and PR, which I'm really excited about.
Hi, Tiffany. Great presentation. I'm just curious, how are you communicating like the healthfulness of the jackfruit on the package, like on the front? Because I don't see mention of that. And also, would you consider yourself more of like a chip that is eaten with sweet and savory foods, or is it more like a dried fruit, like a freeze-dried fruit? Because when I tasted the texture, I mean, the flavor was pretty sweet, but delicious.
So I think it's really interesting, and I don't know how to describe the flavor to people, and so that's why I started this project by handing out samples just to see what the takeaway was. And I left it to my buyers to decide whether or not this was a dried fruit or a freeze-dried fruit or a savory snack. And across the board, everyone has categorized it and merchandised it as a savory snack. And I think it's because there's a complexity to the flavor of jackfruit where when it's turned into a chip, there's like still a substantiality to the chip. It's thicker than a potato chip, but it's not chewy like a jerky. And so you have like a slight sweet tanginess, but it finishes with a savory crunch. And I don't know what happens chemically in your brain, but I attribute it to being a savory snack. And so, but it's very versatile because I use it to dip it in guacamole and hummus and pico de gallo, and I love it in cereal and as an ice cream topping. And so it's
ice cream just really that hit out with a bang. Thank you so much, Tiffany. Thank you, judges. That was wonderful. Now, would love everyone to do our final drum roll, please. I know you're all muted, but drum roll in your desk, wherever you are. We have our final presenter, Zeek Cruz. He was the co-founder and CEO of Current Foods. Zeek apparently was a big animal rights activist in college and even dressed up as a turkey and laid down on the sidewalk in multiple cities around the world. So I can't wait to hear more about that at some point. Zeek, take it away.
Thank you, Lisa. Yeah, just to clarify, I worked with PETA. It was an organized event, it just wasn't me laying there. Yeah, we're Current Foods. Next slide. And we are tackling the major problem that the oceans are collapsing. So since 1970, ocean fish population has collapsed by 50%. We are starting to see microplastics, mercury in seafood. And there is a really large environmental impact from fishing. In fact, it's larger than the aviation industry, and that's just bottom trawling. Next slide. But that also creates a massive opportunity, a $500 billion global opportunity. And we're focused primarily on the United States as of now. Next slide. And we're doing this through our first two products, Current Tuna and Current Salmon. So it's a raw tuna product, a smoked salmon product. One of the great things about that is we're already price competitive to our animal counterpart, which is incredibly hard to do with plant-based products. Next slide. And our vision is to actually become the #1 seafood company. We'll do that by expanding our product portfolio to have a cookable salmon fillet, crustaceans, probably won't look as good as that blue lobster down there. And eventually we want to prompt by providing the world with 50% of its seafood. And we want to take a strategy that can inspire other companies to also start investing in alternative proteins. Next slide. Our advantage is that we are faster and tastier than our counterparts. So if you look at cell-based seafood, it is incredibly hard to scale and the unit economics are quite poor. Our other plant-based seafood counterparts just, they don't taste as good. I can talk about that all day, but it really comes down to the user trying the product. Next slide, please. And we do that through our trade secret process. This is all about texture and structure. So it's right ingredients, right time, right conditions. Essentially, it's a series of lock boxes. And this is how we've created something that, when you try it, you'll be able to tell it's something quite unique. Next slide. And this really creates something that's also scalable. So we always focus on this. Next slide. And something that has incredibly healthy ingredients. So we're top 8 allergen free. Like muscle, our products are designed to have the same ingredients. So it's water, protein, fat. We use water, pea protein, and fat from algae and sunflower. So we have high omega-3s in our product. We have protein. Our color comes from tomato radish, no artificial colors or flavors. Next slide. And the product's been able to get quite a bit of attention. So we've been featured on a lot of articles. Next slide. And also have soft launched across 380 locations in the United States as well as the EU. These are all food service locations, from poke chains to sushi restaurants, and even retailers in the EU with our raw tuna product. Next slide. This is all possible because of our staff. So we have a pretty incredible team. Mark Leibson, our COO, actually had scaled Fitbit lines. He truly understands manufacturing in the scaled space. When you create something novel, it's really important. Tiffany Suakama is our VP of R&D. She had done her PhD in hydrocolloids, and she really understands food science, but approaches it in a way that breaks down products to their first principles. So we've invested the most heavily on building a strong product with R&D. And I could kind of go on and on about the team. Next slide. Here is us actually outside of our office. We're having a good time. We have one of our tasting officers, Coda, down there. Next slide. And what we're excited about is, actually raising additional capital to complete our manufacturing facility in Bayview. So it's going to be a 7,000 square foot production site that will allow us to create 200,000 pounds of product a month. We called it Pacific because that's what we're here to do, is help the ocean. Next slide. And what a really that kind of summary and advantage that we have is we have product leadership in forms of taste and being in the market first. It's a massive market opportunity. So the seafood market is just getting penetrated from the plant-based space. And we get to define that category in a large way. A lot of Gen Z and other people really care about the mission of saving the ocean. We can help do that. So thanks everyone for your time.
Awesome. Thank you, Yesa. All right, judges, what questions do you have for our final panelist?
Thank you. Fantastic job. I've had an opportunity to try the product. Incredible flavor, surprisingly great texture. I'm curious to hear if you can share some of the early feedback from consumers from a flavor standpoint, texture standpoint, attribution, how they're using the product, etc.
Definitely. So we just have raw tuna right now that we've launched in the market. We find that the texture is by far the best point. Flavor is a bit different. Tuna actually has very little flavor. It's not necessarily bad, but it's a bit different. It's really much a food service product. We realize that most people can't work with raw tuna. So we will continue to focus on using that in food service and the large sushi chains. So we've already refined product and changing the color a little bit by like increasing the tomato. It was a little too purple before, but yeah.
Well, yeah, I really enjoyed the presentation. I want to build a little more on the food service question in terms of your performance to date. How does it compare to expectation? And how, from a revenue perspective, what does 300 food service accounts sort of equate to annually on revenue? Sort of in some sense of that relationship between number of accounts and size.
Yeah. So, I mean, we really only, it's been like about 200,000 in total revenue. We expect to get close to $1 million by the end of the year. Next year is when we really, are going to enter and do much larger accounts. And we believe that our smoked salmon, which we'll put on the retail side, will also help. But we haven't closed any really large accounts. I mean, we'll really start generating revenue when we close in the 200 to 1,000 plus kind of partners. Hope I'm answering your question there.
Hey, Jasek. I had a chance to try your product. I had it for lunch. It was fantastic. I have a question around your sales cycle and what it takes to educate folks who are using sustainable tuna already to switch to plant-based.
Yeah, that's a great question. Our sales cycle on the food service side is very long. We've been talking to groups like some really large conglomerates in Japan to the biggest sushi providers in the United States, and it takes a very long time. We have to work from the top down. So we have a lot of work that we're doing in Japan. We're actually pretty excited about and educating the consumer there. It's easy for some people. Other people sometimes aren't necessarily caring as much, and that's where taste is just paramount. Like, we have to taste good. Otherwise, the user won't win there. We do win some consumers over by the fact that we reduce their liability from providing seafood. So we have no mercury, no microplastics. Shelf life is exponentially longer than seafood. And we don't run into any seafood challenges regarding the supply chain and price, which was significantly took a big hit during like COVID and all of the supply chain shocks that we're seeing. Seafood was the category that rose the most in prices. So we have some fundamental advantages there. And then finally, the smoked salmon product we'll put in retail, I think, will be a much faster cycle. I mean, not significantly faster, but it's a little bit easier because we can go directly to the end user who really then does care about sustainability and especially more and more these days. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to ask one quick question, and I think we're done. Is define success for you in one word?
Sustainability.
Ooh, hard-hitting last question. Good job, y'all. Wonderful. Oh my gosh, so many questions too in the chat. Everybody wants to know more about this plant-based seafood. Great job. Okay, everyone. wherever you are, as muted as you are, please give a virtual round of applause. That was our final presenter. Such good pitches, you guys. All right, just amazing. I want to buy all of it. So we are now going to send our judges away. You guys are going to go into your virtual green room. And you are going to have a really hard job of figuring out who our winners are. But audience, you also have a job. So don't turn off your video or a camera yet. You get to vote for the Audience Choice Award. So, maybe you should have been taking notes, but you can think back on all of these amazing 7 presenters and figure out who you think should use the Dawn Buter People's Choice Award. So you probably have seen a Zoom poll. It just came up. You see Dawn Buter's People's Choice Award. Says, please cast your vote for the brand with the strongest pitch of the day. So we have Biotic Ferments, Current Foods, G's Hard Ginger Beer, Happy Moose Juice, Ting's, Twrl Milk Tea, and Zeek Bar. So you and only you are going to vote. There's no host or panelist voting. This is really you, the people, getting to say who wins. So as we are voting, we've got a minute to vote. So, go, 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 go. And next, after you all have voted, we're going to bring up a wonderful entrepreneur and previous Pitch Slam winner, Paul Vogie from Ora Bora. Totally obsessed with his drinks, by the way, who will be interviewed by Robin Brutledge, who is the founder and CEO of SBG Growth, and she is a long-standing and very amazing Naturally Bay Area board member. So vote, vote, vote. You have 24 seconds. It's a hard decision. Keep thinking about it. You only get one vote. It's maybe the hardest thing you do all year. There were so many good presentations. I'm glad I don't have to vote. I don't think I could do it. I want to vote for them all. They were all so great. All right, team. Time is up. Voting is over. Poll is closed. Thank you for your vote. We will be announcing the winner after we hear from Paul and Robin.
It's been a big year for Ora Bora. They presented and won at Pitch Slam, as you heard, 18 months ago. And since then, if I've got my facts right, they've quadrupled their run rate. They've increased their gross margin by over 50%, not easy to do. Grown from fewer than 1,000 stores to over 3,500. Grown to 12 employees from, as near as I can tell, just volunteer labor, otherwise known as husband and wife founders. And made the Rutledge family regular subscribers and laugh at least 12 times. My favorite being the Frivolous Fun Fact series. Welcome back to Pitch Slam, Paul Vogie. It's great to see you again.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here. I love Pitch Slam.
Well, for those who maybe missed it last year, maybe you could just start by sharing what is Ora Bora and why did you start it?
Yeah, so Ora Bora is a sparkling water company based here in San Francisco. So we make currently we make 8 varieties of craft sparkling water. We like to say made from herbs, fruits, and flowers. The idea was take LaCroix, Polar, Waterloo, any of the huge conventional sparkling water companies and give them never before seen flavors with ingredients that are unusual to the category and a brand that's unusual to how consumers are used to being communicated with by their beverage companies. So that was the idea. I grew up in a home that didn't drink soda, so I was kind of hooked on sparkling water from a young age. But it felt odd to me that we're all drinking a lot of sparkling water, but none of us are really enjoying it. What if we made a craft version that we really enjoyed with flavors that we were more inspired by? So that was the idea. We started in late 2019. So we're 34 months in since we sold the first can.
34 months in. So that's been fast and furious. I actually, if you can believe it, I dug out my notes from the judges table 18 months ago. And when I was watching your presentation, among the notes that I wrote down were, quote, interesting balance of healthy, aggressive competitor mixed with witty humor. And then I wrote from the East Coast, question mark. So
Yeah, I am. Yes, guilty as charged.
Okay, guilty as charged. So you're out here now. You're based where, Paul?
The Outer Sunset is where we live. Most of our team is remote, but I guess we have like 3 or 4 folks in Southern California, 3 or 4 folks in Northern California, and then everybody else spread out. But yeah, we're based in San Francisco.
I think it's a great reminder too that, I still remember last year hearing several people say a sparkling water beverage when pitch slam, like how does that happen? And it's just such a great reminder that, every category has an opportunity in it for disruption and innovation. It's really just all about execution. So how have the last 18 months been for you? And maybe we'll start on what's been the hardest? What's been the hardest over the last 18 months?
Yeah, so one, you're not wrong. There are a lot of sparkling waters. It's a dizzyingly competitive set. And if anyone knows how quote unquote easy it is to start a new beverage company, it's me, because I'm not that smart and I did it. So, there's both competitors on the huge side and that they're publicly traded or owned by Coke. And there is a new crowd of competitors every single month. Some of them will probably be competing at next year's Pitch Slam. So you're kind of getting crowded from both sides. I will say, despite that, it felt like, gosh, it's such a fast growing category. Could it be that rising tides, raise all ships, or however that phrase goes? For us, that's meant, okay, one, how do we convince buyers to get us on shelf? That's kind of the hardest part of the competitive curve, is there's only so many cans you can fit on that shelf or in that cooler.
Right.
How do we convince them that we will be net incremental to their set? How do we convince them that we will bring in more consumers to the category, not fewer, and hopefully put a few more pennies in their pocket? And I think at the beginning, we found ourselves probably way back at Pitch Slam, most of our sales was retailers not buying us because they particularly loved our data, but they probably loved the product and probably more than anything just wanted me to stop harassing them. And they thought, this guy just keeps pushing his products on us, let's just buy it and then he'll leave. Well, the truth is, once it's on the shelf, I'm actually just going to come more frequently to make sure that we're going through. Where I'm grateful is in the last few months, I feel that we finally have enough retailers and we have enough marquee chains that we have seen kind of the data do a lot of the selling for us. So it has certainly been difficult in this competitive scene, but I feel like we finally now get to worry about bigger problems of what is the right amount of trade spend? How do we cut COGS to get greater gross margin? How do we bring in net new consumers for every marketing period? Whereas at the beginning, you're doing far more so, how do I sell more products and get it on more shelves?
So who are your consumers, Paul, other than yours truly? Who are you? I often talk about personas, with the brands that I work with. I often talk about, how you have several target personas. What were your target personas, and is that who you think is still buying it?
Yeah, I am not at all a good reflection of our customer. I'll say I'm a high 20s male. Our customer is a high 30s female. Although I do live in a city and our customers do typically live in cities or suburbs. Some of that is by just nature of where natural grocery stores are and where kind of the most premium grocery stores open up. And of course, most of our country lives on the two coasts. Actually, most of our country just lives on the East Coast, but we like to think the West Coast matters just as much.
There it is. See,
yeah,
busted. East Coast. We knew it was
coming. Although I'll be honest, when I'm sending calendar invites, I always put in Pacific time because I want it to be convenient. So otherwise I'm waking up too early. So no, I'll say our consumer for our e-commerce site is a little bit different from our retail side. So for e-commerce, we've done this, actually one right here. We've been doing these limited time flavor offerings where every other month Ouroboros comes out with a new flavor. What's been great about that is, one, it's an awesome way to do R&D. But what we found is we get to have a really thorough dialogue with our best customers. And we find those customers, yes, they skew female about 2/3, 1/3. They skew a little bit younger than our retail customer, kind of between 25 and 35. Whereas our retail customer is more so between 35 and 45. And we've found that they are extremely opinionated, which is great. So we are making weird sparkling water flavors, which means we're constantly straddling the line between what is weird and interesting and what is weird but intimidating. We don't want to do the latter. We do want to do the former. And we have found with this gregarious group online, they've been able to give us feedback on flavors, and then a lot of those flavors graduate to retail, and we get even more feedback from a slightly older audience. So that's who we're selling to.
And how are you making that work? I mean, in this environment, especially in a category like sparkling water, as you said, there's a ton of huge players. How are you able to effectively roll out, if you will, trial flavors and make your co-packers help you produce small scale, small volumes? Talk about that. I have to believe that's a big amount of your time.
It has been. Yeah, we've asked for a lot of favors. Is probably the nice way of saying it. We have, so when I was on Pitch Slam, we had one warehouse and one co-packer. Today we have 4 warehouses and 3 co-packers in the Midwest, the East Coast, and the West Coast. And some of those co-packers have been nice enough to say, hey, when we have a spare day in between switching from glass to aluminum, we are happy to run that weird flavor you thought of into 6,000 cases, and we can put it on our website and sell out in 30 days. So that has been kind of our method so far, is let's consistently be innovating. Because if we back up, I mentioned, hey, the idea was, can we make a interesting version of sparkling water? Can we have a more unique, more innovative, somewhere between delightful and peculiar sparkling water company? Ironically, our hardcore customers, maybe the Rutledge family included, they might get tired of our weird flavors because they've been with us for so long. So we need to keep innovating, which is great. It's like your favorite restaurant or favorite ice cream parlor does this exact same thing. They want to keep new customers happy, but they want the returning customers to have a reason to return. So it is a huge operational challenge, but otherwise we might as well just come out with lemon and lime and give up and do what everyone else is doing. So a piece of this, we need to keep innovating in order to keep our base happy.
And are you coming up with these, what did you call them? Peculiar, but interesting.
Peculiar, but delightful.
I think
yeah.
Are you coming up with these flavors, or talk to us a little bit about your team? And as I mentioned in the intro, you've grown. If I recall, it was you and your lovely wife who we met last year.
That's right.
So talk to me a little bit about how the team has grown and how you've prioritized, where to actually invest in people, because as we all know, it really all comes from the team.
We were fortunate enough to get some great yeses. Obviously, in this job, and for all the pitch slammers, they'll feel this distinctly if they don't feel it already. Is like, it's just sales. All of it is sales. Either you're selling to retailers, or you're selling to employees to leave their existing jobs, or you're selling investors, and then the cycle all starts again. So management is just a nice way of saying sales, is kind of how I feel about it. Some of those folks have come from Super Coffee and GT's Kombucha and Voss Water and Harmless Harvest. So we've been able to get people way more experienced than me, which doesn't take very much to be more experienced than me. And we're so grateful for the team we've assembled. And a lot of them have had amazing ideas for flavors, and they might be our finance person, or they might have amazing ideas for an online program, and they are not in marketing, they're in sales. And it's just been a kind of a big team effort, or so it's felt.
Mm-hmm. 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 Can you give us any hints what's next in the flavor pipeline?
I can. We have a flavor that is near and dear to my heart, in that the can itself actually showcases a pretty distinctive Northern California landmark. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
And celebrates, and I'll leave it at that. So we have a can that shows a pretty thorough Northern California landmark that's coming out in the fall or late summer, depending on when we can get it done. It's probably my favorite to date. I'll say blueberry is one of the flavors in there. But we've been doing this every other month. So our goal is, like, some of these we'll continue to make and they'll sell out and we'll make more of them. And some of them our consumers will say, that was good, but I don't really want to buy it again. And that's kind of all part of the game.
And what is your largest seller right now? And how does that equate to number 2? Like, do you have a clear winner right now?
We do. So of our existing flavors of retail, in fact, I've been sipping this lemongrass coconut. So this is my favorite flavor. It is by far our worst seller. So again, to the Pitch Slam group, your best seller might not be your favorite. Our best selling SKU is luckily my second favorite. It's Cactus Rose, followed by Lavender Cucumber, which was a huge shock. So obviously we came out with these very innovative flavors that were unusual to the category, even though, yes, they were still sparkling waters. And the ones I thought would sell the worst sold the best, and the ones I thought would sell the best sell the worst. of the new flavors we brought online, we had an elderflower grapefruit SKU. I'm just armed with props over here. That we just sold online, and I had to kind of eat my own words. Our very first sell sheet had this in big, bold font. I put no boring citrus flavors. And I was, of course, referring to LaCroix and Polar and all of the old school sparkling water companies. And of course, our first like 20 reviews were, love these flavors, comma, would love some citrus over and over and over again. So we thought, okay, let's go with grapefruit. And we came out with elderflower grapefruit, and people loved it. And it's currently on shelf at Sprouts. So it graduated from an online flavor to a retail flavor in all Sprouts stores. So that was a big win for our kind of online R&D.
That's awesome. Well, and that's definitely one of my favorites, but this may be a great opportunity to say, how are consumers using it? Are most consumers just drinking it straight? Are they mixing it? Do you have a sense of that?
I do. And that's probably a huge development in the last 18 months. I think probably when I did the Pitch Slam, I just talked about it as a sparkling water because I'm just naturally a selfish person, apparently, because that's how I was drinking it mostly. I was drinking 10 to 12 cans of sparkling water before starting this business. I still drink 10 to 12 cans. They're now my cans, not the competitors. But I didn't think about all the alternative uses. So we have found there are kind of 4 uses. 1, sparkling water. 2, we found that we have strong and interesting enough flavor to be compelling to a soda drinker, primarily those folks switching from Diet Coke. 3rd, we have people drinking it as a cocktail mixer with an alcohol of their choice. It's kind of in lieu of a tonic. And then finally, this is a group I totally underestimated to probably an order of magnitude off, is people drinking our products as a mocktail at 5:30 in place of alcohol. And it's kind of nuanced enough flavor that they think, hey, this is a solid substitution. So that's a group that I was not familiar with previous, but we were glad to have them, of course.
Yeah, that sober curious trend is obviously a high growth area for a lot of investors.
For sure.
A lot of investors are watching right now. So that's exciting. That's interesting to hear. So the big question I think that was on our minds a year ago at the judges table, or 18 months ago, that I imagine some of the entrepreneurs in the audience right now will also be thinking about is, it sounds awesome. It sounds too good to be true. It sounds fancy. So how, let's talk about price point, because a lot of people who consume sparkling water, like yourself, they go through a lot of it, and they go through a lot of it for themselves, but also for their household. Talk a little bit about your pricing strategy and really what you're after there.
We have, totally reasonable. And you're right. If you're drinking something 10 cans a day, you can't pay $4 per can to do that. Or at least I can't. Other people in the Bay Area probably can't. We try to have stores sell us at $1.99 per can. Obviously, there are a lot of kind of inflation pressures and supply chain issues with stores where I've seen price tags probably fluctuate more in the last 30 days than the previous year combined. That means we are normally the most expensive single serve sparkling water on the shelf. But still less expensive than, say, a CBD soda or a juice or anything prebiotic, probiotic, kombucha, coffee, elsewhere. That is kind of our sweet spot. I would love to continue to reduce the price. One thing that is kind of struck me just being in the industry for a few years is everyone starts on the coast and everyone starts premium, and only so many people shop at Erewhon and Berkeley Bowl. I love both those grocery stores. They're amazing, but they are not at all indicative of how the majority of the country shops. So if we can continue to have a compelling price point, just personally, I find that pretty gratifying when consumers find us in the middle of the country at $1.79 or $1.99, and they're excited about that price point. We want to keep chipping away, even though it hurts our margin, because we think it just opens us up to exponentially more customers and how the majority of Americans shop.
It's compelling. So what is the secret sauce then? You've been able to get consumers to pull it off the shelf, at a premium price point. You've have a hugely engaged online e-commerce platform. So what's the secret sauce? Share.
Gosh, I wish I knew. No, I would say for us, it has felt like for a while, the product is like the most important part of your business, and probably for everyone slamming here today, like that's the case. And then this awesome transition happens where, yes, the product's important, but your team becomes the most important part of growing. And I knew nothing about that when I did the Pitch Slam because we didn't have a team. It was just me at that time. And now I can confidently say I'm the least valuable member of Ouroboros today, which is awesome. We have somehow found this great group that are like part camp counselor and just low ego individuals that love sparkling water and are pumped about CPG. Uniquely, we were actually noticing that between the women and men on our team, almost without fail, everyone's a baseball fan, which I don't know if this is an actual secret sauce insight, but I think those folks that love baseball, I grew up outside New York, I'm a huge New York Mets fan. For whatever reason, that makes them like a more humble team player, or so that's what we have noticed. So if that's helpful in your interviews with prospective staff members, look for the baseball fans.
Or look for the commonality, I guess, across diversity, right?
Absolutely.
Find those things that you can really rally around during the tough days. So just, I realize we're getting close to the end of our time here, Paul, but you know, you've really had a heck of a year. Obviously, any entrepreneur right now in any space is very concerned about recessionary pressures and the like. Talk to me a little bit about the best advice you have for anyone who's still in the early stages that is growing, but also in light of this current economic environment that we're in and really heading headfirst with enthusiasm into.
Yeah. I'll say, when we started this business, I had so many folks, not dissimilar from yourself, Robin, say, hey, keep growing quarter over quarter revenue and you can always raise money. If you always grow revenue quarter over quarter, there will always be money for you. And that's just not true. That wisdom is gone.
I agree, yeah.
And there's part of that's sad, part of that's great. So if I was giving advice to an entrepreneur like a couple years behind us, I would say from the get-go, kind of know exactly where every dollar is going, marketing, operations, sales, product, et cetera. And know that it is better to have a slow growth business that is surviving than a fast growth business that is dying.
I feel like you just wrote my my latest investment feedback on
something
for me. So it's very well said. And you know, if you have a healthy gross margin, you can live to fight another day, no matter what's around you. So, well, Paul, it's just honestly, it's so good to see you. Next year, we have to make sure that this is all back in person. And so that I don't have the embarrassment of my AirPods that broke this morning. But anyway, it's so good to see you. And I know you'll join me in wishing all of our, applicants, but also all of our Pitch Slam contenders this year, all the best for what's next in their journey. So thanks again for joining us and sharing your wisdom.
No, thanks for having me. Good luck to everybody.
Amazing. Wow. I feel like I've learned so much. I think that, whoever wins here today is going to go on to triple their growth, double their margin, launch some weird flavors, write hilarious emails. There are great things ahead for all of you. And I just found out who the winners are. So I want to see, audience, I know you can't unmute, but I want you to put all the enthusiasm that you are feeling for all of these finalists and all of our winners, and everyone's a winner, into the chat. I want to see emojis. I want to see shout outs. I want to see all the things. So first, let's talk about who the audience picked. So drum roll, please. We have People's Choice winner, Twrl Milk Tea. Amazing job, Pauline. Yay! That was incredible. Next, we have second place, Current Foods. Jason, wow, way to go. Great pitch. And now the first place winner, drum roll, drum roll, drum roll, drum roll. Also Twrl Milk Tea. Oh my gosh, Pauline, you won all the things. Congratulations and way to go, audience. Those emojis are really working for me. Let's just say congrats to everyone. Honestly, I'm gonna go Google every single brand here and buy all of it. You guys are doing such cool things, and the pitches were incredible. So good. That is the end of our Pitch Slam. I know, I'm really sad. I want to go eat some food, but I'm really sad this is over. This was so good. So congratulations to everyone. cannot wait to see where you go from here. We're gonna hear from you next year, maybe have some of you on stage doing an update like Paul did next year. I just want to give one final enormous thank you to everyone who made today possible. We have such an amazing Pitch Slam committee. I have to tell you guys, this is the 4th Pitch Slam I have emceed, and I have never seen behind the scenes this hardworking group that makes this day happen. It's so much work. It is so much work. It is amazing. So thank you, John. Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Pete. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, myself. I don't need to thank myself. Thank you, Monique. And thanks, Lori. Also, thank you for our inspirational speakers, Paul and Robin, our judges, our mentors, and our 7 amazing entrepreneurs. We really appreciate you all for coming out, and thank you, our audience, for all of the cheering that I know we were doing. I promise next year we will be in person. It's going to be even bigger. And just, thank you so much, Naturally Bay Area, for enabling me to MC this event. It's such an honor to be on the virtual stage with you all. And just, wow, one big round of applause to all the entrepreneurs. Don't forget, check out our website, Naturally Bay Area. We have so many great events. It's just naturallybayarea.org. Check out all these events, and we will see you at Expo East, if not before then. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great rest of your afternoon.